You just bought yourself another week.
Hey! We're recording the podcast! Shut up!
Good morning to you, wherever you are, because it is
Morning somewhere!
for January 23rd, 2025. My name is Bernie Burns, sitting right over there. She likes to blame it on the calculator. It's Ashley Burns. Say hi to Ashley, everybody.
I never learned to read.
TI 84, one up from your model, $94 on Amazon.
It's ridiculous.
Plus, you got to pay sales tax in the state of Texas because Texas Instruments is a Texas company, I assume.
Yes, yes. I was wrong. Apparently, they're headquartered in Dallas. I was corrected on this, but they have offices in Austin, so I can still flip them off when I drive by.
Have we not yet reached the point where Dallas and Austin and Houston have merged into one great metroplex?
Megaplex. I mean, they're pretty close, but there is, if you make the drive, there is still a few like gaps of green space between, brown space between between the metropolises. So they got to go ahead, finish filling those in, and then we'll have our megalopolis.
Take that, Texas. Ashley got you. Now it's over for you. She got you.
Take that, burn.
Halfish way between Dallas and Austin is a town called, do you remember this?
Yes, hold on. I do. Colt Town.
You're close. You're thinking of Waco.
I'm thinking of Waco.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest gap, I think, is probably right after Waco. No, I was thinking of a town called with the completely confusing name of
West,
Texas.
So it's the town of West,
which is right in the middle of the state.
But I got to be clear, it's not in West Texas. So whenever someone says they're going to West Texas, I have to say, wait, West Texas or West, Texas?
Right.
You have to clarify. Town, change your name.
And that's the place where everybody stops because it's for some reason a Czech town, and they have the Czech stop, CZECH, Czech, like from the Czech Republic.
And the most important thing about the Czech stop is
they have great kolaches.
Delicious kolaches. So before I lived in Texas, I had not experienced the beauty of kolaches. And they're basically.
And this is what are they? See, what is she about to explain?
Wait,
what is a kolache?
Okay, well, we'll see how I define one. And they seem to be primarily sort of like a sausage in. Well, you don't think it's a sausage?
The traditional ones are the fruit-looking ones. That's what they are. The bastardized versions that we eat in Texas, I think they make those under protest at the Czech stop because I think the traditional one is just like it looks like a Danish, basically.
Okay, well, yeah, the ones that I have eaten then, that I have consumed and loved, are it's basically a hot dog, except there's no split in the bun, right? They just bake the sausage in the breading, right? So it looks like a bun and you bite into it and there's a sausage inside. And sometimes cheese, or they do all the wacky flavors, like you can get the breakfast ones that have egg and potato, and that is definitely a Texas.
That is definitely
if you can
liberties were taken.
Take a thing and put like eggs and bacon and little cubed breakfast potatoes in it. That came from Texas. Like breakfast tacos, I love them. I don't think they're canon.
This is a traditional Czech kolache authentic recipe. This is coming at you from cooklikeczechs.com. Kolaches are a sweet Czech pastry made of yeast dough. Kolaches are flat, generously filled in the middle with fruit, poppy seed, or cream cheese filling. No mention of sausages anywhere.
Yeah, so what we enjoy is wildly out of canon. But you know what?
Awesome.
It's so good.
So good.
Absolutely love it. I'm going to see if I can find a recipe. I'm going to put it in the link dump so you can make your own non-canon kolaches if you so choose.
In other parts of America, they would traditionally be called a pig in the blanket. They also have pigs in the blanket here in the UK. I don't know what that is. That is a sausage that is wrapped in bacon. That seems like an atrocity to me. Like wrapping an animal in a different part of the animal, that's too much.
Oh, that's like having like chicken and eggs.
Yeah, how often do you have chicken and eggs? When does that ever happen?
I don't know, breakfast sometimes. Put it in a taco and I'll probably have it.
I guess you would do an egg wash on chicken in order to then put breadcrumbs on it to deep fry it. It does feel weird though, right? People even call it out in recipes when you're dipping chickens into egg.
Right. You're like, it's
weird. There's something weird about it.
waste not, buddy. Waste not.
It's like Frankenstein. You like deconstruct it and you put it all back together.
Speaking of chickens and eggs, Bernie, I let the chickens out this morning and we had to have a really tough talk.
Did you?
Yes, I had to explain the concept of Hermes, the delivery service, which has now been renamed to the chickens, and had to explain to them why it's bad.
Oh, so you're having an investment meeting early in the morning.
Yeah, sort of. So the routine when I let all the birds out, the ducks, which are living up near the house right now for the winter, and the chickens, we have a routine. All right, so I let them out, and then I feed them mealworms, which is super gross, but also they love it. For them, it's a treat and it's a protein supplement.
What's gross about the mealworms?
I mean, they're dead bugs.
They're just dried worms, yeah.
Yeah, that I'm like just scooping up by the handful and tossing to birds to peck at. Anyway, normally what happens is we have a big bucket of them, and when it gets about 3/4 of the way done, I order new mealworms. I did that this time as well, but it's been like 2 weeks now. Yeah. No mealworms have turned up.
Yeah.
We are now through the last quarter of the bucket, and there are no mealworms left. I went and looked up, where are these mealworms? They're with Every. And my heart immediately sank. We're never getting these mealworms. I may as well order completely new ones. There's something about this service. We've complained about it before, and guess what? I will take every opportunity to complain again. Because they've had these things for like 2 weeks, and they just like don't deliver if they don't feel like it.
That is one of the places though that you can just go to the depot and just go, you guys have a package for me that you're not delivering, and they go, yeah, and then they go get it for you. So you could go do that.
I don't even know if it's gotten that far. I looked at the tracking and it just goes, it's been received at a depot somewhere in Great Britain, but won't tell me where.
Are you going to do one of those Instagram projects where you grow your own worms? Like you basically make like a rotting bin?
There's a lot of like sort of like homesteading DIY things that pop up on social media, and they come across my feed because I'm always watching videos of like chickens being funny or stupid or whatever. I don't know why I am in my chicken era, but I am in the midst of it. And so I'll see a lot of these like make your own like black soldier fly larva maker. And I'm like, that sounds really cool. That sounds like it'd be a great project. The chances of me doing it are pretty slim.
Yeah, you're basically making an infestation on your own property. Just seems like, how could that possibly go wrong?
Right. And people do it all the time. People do amazing stuff. They post like methane composters. So they like basically make their own like cooking gas with methane. And like there's all these really ingenious things that people come up with, which I'm like, I admire this. I'm watching this, and I'm going to give you your snaps right here. But I'm not going to do that.
Was that your snaps?
Yeah, my fingers are a little bit dry, so they're not great snaps. Hold on. No. Yep.
I saw this thing that a guy posted where he posted, it was on Reddit, he's ready for winter to be over because he doesn't like getting this deep into winter. He doesn't like his winter hands. And I showed you this, and his hands were incredibly chapped. I don't deal with that at all, ever.
No, they were so chapped that the knuckles were splitting open. They looked swollen.
Great conversation from worms to this. How do we get from kolaches to...
It was one of those things I looked at and I was like, has he heard of moisturizer?
That was one of the top comments. Somebody wrote, legally you are allowed to moisturize.
Yeah, I find that I have to moisturize my hands a lot in the winter. Otherwise, my snaps, they're subpar.
Skin's weird, though. Skin's weird. Like, the two weirdest things that are just like, meh, stuff can just go wrong with them in the human body seem to be skin and digestion. Like, that can just get out of whack, and then people are just like, we'll try this, and if that doesn't work, we'll try this other thing, and if that doesn't work, good luck to you.
Well, there's a lot. Because it feels like there's... we go through seasons of awareness about things. Like right now, everyone's really big on gut health and gut biome, right? So you're supposed to eat your probiotics, and you're supposed to have, ginger for, evening out blood sugar. And you're like, there's all these things you can do to really increase your gut health and keep a healthy gut biome and all these things. And I'm like, I'm on board. Let's do the ginger. Let's do the yogurt. Cool. But I'm always wary that we've done all kinds of things in the past that we thought were very healthy. I remember when agave was like the big new healthy thing to replace sugar
Yep.
until it wasn't.
Yep.
And so I'm like, oh, let's not go crazy. But yes, I think ginger's probably a good thing. I think yogurt's a good thing. Those are time tested. But there's a lot of like experimental, let's do this thing for our gut biome. And I'm like, well, we'll see how that goes.
I have definitely reached an age or a level of experience where if there's something that's been bad for us our whole life and they have suddenly found a miracle replacement for it, I'm one of those people who's like, I'll be a late adopter to this. I'm going to wait and see on this one because it's always like, oh, this is perfect. And it's like agave. It's like, it's a sweetener and it has no impact on your insulin levels at all. And it's not bad for you in any way. And then they
Fast forward, 3 years maybe?
Yeah.
And then you discover, don't throw out your agave.
Agave immediately.
If someone,
Get rid of it.
If someone hands you agave, it's a crime.
Right. It's like
Right.
wrapping a pig in bacon. Don't do it. Don't do it. And then putting it in a kolache, calling it bastardizing the poor Czech people's foods.
But there's whatever you call them, you can call a rose by any other name. A pig in a blanket, delicious stuff.
Oh, I won't touch the fruit ones. No, I'll call it a kolache all day. I'm just like you. I'll take the Texas bastardized version of it. Absolutely, I will. Absolutely.
And the thing is, though, it seems like there are a lot of kolache places in Texas. I don't remember encountering a lot of kolache places before I moved there. Maybe I just missed them. But there are a lot of kolache places in Texas, and they all do the ones with the sausage.
I find them frustrating for one specific reason because there's basically two types of businesses in Texas. One is kolache places, and the other is any place that serves bagels specifically. I can't figure out what their hours of operation are. Like, even if it's on the door, I'm always going to get there when they're closed. Like, they decide we close half an hour before you showed up. That's their hours of operation.
I always associate those with breakfast, maybe lunch, but they're gone by 3 or 4.
Right.
Right, like just before it would make sense to close. Just before.
Just before. Right.
And I assume that's probably because they're like, this way we can have one shift. Right. And so in order, like, we're going to get people in at 6 in the morning, and that means they can work until 2, and that's it. We got to be closed by then.
Yeah,
Done.
that bakery, because they also start at 5 in the morning for the bakery stuff, man.
Well, look, I'm just saying, if you want to go for the Dunkin' approach and just get your stuff in frozen, pop it in the oven, and you're good to go.
Still Dunkin' Donuts to me. I'm holding on to it forever.
That's just the dunk.
But we were talking about the Instagram people who have all these little projects and everything and chicken coops and whatnot. AP News, it's not a really fascinating article, but I do want to mention, if you're interested in that topic, we'll put it in the link dump. It was the impact on FarmTok, because talk being TOK, the TikTok version of agricultural.
Yeah, it's like book talk or other talks.
That doesn't translate. They got to stop using that because it sounds like you're saying talk.
It does. It works great in text.
Yeah. Tick Farm, actually. That sounds weird, too. The ducks would love that. But, yeah, so if you're interested, we'll put a link. And it's like how this agricultural movement that's being fueled by young farmers who are posting to TikTok and educating people about homesteading and things like that.
People like me.
They're in danger of leaving. And the photo in this article, this lady has a nice John Deere tractor in the background.
That was your takeaway?
Well, yeah. I got a tractor in me. Look at this goddamn thing in the background here. Anyway, we'll post it on
All I can see is the wheels. And can I tell you, it has a lot of them.
Yeah, play the video a little bit. She's got 2 back there behind her. It's pretty wild. Like, she's a serious ass farmer. Man.
One of my favorite groups, kind of like this, is there'll be... it's a group of kind of reactors, right? And I know how you feel about reactors in general, but it's a group of these farm guys, and they watch a video of someone doing farm things, and then they make their snarky commentary. Someone was talking about, someone had posted a video about how tractors are very expensive, and things can cost up to $100,000, and the guys are like, huh, for a wheel. I'll see if I can find it because it was brilliant. But it was one of those things that. It's nice to watch these. I like watching sort of agricultural social media because I like seeing the food process. We've talked to kids in the past who don't really know where food comes from. I think Teddy has been, one time we went to a place where they had a pear tree and we could just pull a pear and eat the pear. And he was like, what are you doing? Because he was so disconnected from the food process that pears come from grocery stores. You don't pull a pear off a tree and eat it. That's weird.
Well, this one had specifically fallen to the base of the tree.
Yes.
So to him, it was like finding food on the ground and just eating it. And it was very, very strange to him that anyone would do that, like eating food you find out in the wild. He was about, by the way, we would say about like 9 at this point in time.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing that he'd spent much time thinking about. He'd never needed to, right?
No,
But it did drive home to us that there is a disconnect between like where food comes from and how it gets to us and all the requirements for having the varieties of food and things that we have. So I do like watching those videos and learning more about the process of how like farms work and how all that food is grown and processed and distributed. I just think it's nice to have some sort of insight into that, and it's made me appreciate too growing things like, if we grow our own like little sweet corn, it doesn't go well here, but we keep trying. I feel obligated as an American to try to grow corn. Or we'll grow like strawberries, or we'll go like foraging in the brambles for blackberries and things like that. And I like taking the kids to do that so they can see this is where food comes from.
Yeah. And in Teddy's defense, the pear that we found on the tree at the base of the tree was a pear kolache. So that was kind of weird. In his defense, that was a little strange.
Bit into it, there was just a sausage in the middle.
It was a pear kolache with sausage wrapped in bacon. It was a pear sausage kolache in a blanket. How are we on this topic?
I'm doing great. But in other current events, the nominees for the Oscars are going to be out today. Do you have any major predictions?
I bet everyone has been anticipating this all week long. Who's going to be here for the Oscars?
Right. Who's it going to be? Well, they have been delayed. They were initially going to be announced on the 17th, but with the fires, which are still going and there's new fires breaking out, which is terrifying. But I think the Hughes fire is the new big one. So they're still battling those, but a lot of the industry is trying to sort of crank its way back into functioning. A lot of shows have started up production, things like that. And now today they are going to announce the Oscar nominations. So I think front runners seem to be this Emilia Perez, which we still haven't watched, even though it won Golden Globe as well. Brutalist, which also won Golden Globe. I assume those will do quite well. And then I'm hoping for some big nominations for, Deadpool, Wolverine, that kind of thing. That kind of film is often highly recognized at the Oscars.
Yeah, absolutely. It's usually they'll get to announce some award.
Yeah, they'll be presenters, and that's about it.
Oh my God, what would be the best pair of presenters ever? It would have to be the cast of It Ends With Us.
Oh my God.
Going up. That just goes back and forth. It's gone back and forth so much with that whole thing that I was on. What I do on the gossip subreddits is to keep abreast of this. I go and I look at the topic and I read like the first 3 comments and then I'm out. That's all I can stand. And I was very happy to see a high degree of self-awareness where people in the subreddit were like, are we just going to go with whatever we hear last? Like, that's the thing we're going to believe, whoever put out the last piece of information or statements on this thing? They should rename that movie It Never Ends With Us. It just... the movie made a ton of money. I feel like no one saw the movie and everyone's getting dragged into all this like horrible stuff. There's a $400 million lawsuit now in court.
Yes. So I might be behind. You might be ahead of me. Last I understood. So,
oh God, I hope not.
So Blake Lively had lodged her lawsuit, and then Justin Baldoni lodged a countersuit against her for $400 million.
Right.
And like released some footage of one of their takes or something which is one of the things that she was suing over. And that's the extent of what I know. I'm almost at this point trying to know as little about this drama as possible because it's ongoing. It's just, it just flip-flops. It's a game, you know what it is? It's a game of tennis. It's ping-pong. It's going back and forth and back and forth. It doesn't stop.
The gossip subreddits are becoming self-aware, Ashley. They are. And they're realizing this as well. What happened was she made some statements about some very specific incidents and things that were said, and he released raw footage from the scene that appeared to refute that, or the intention, it seems, of releasing it was to refute that. And that's what people are now. Now they're back the other way. Like they keep going back and forth. Whatever they see last, it's like they don't know what to do.
Yeah.
My recommendation is just don't participate. Don't participate.
We're just going to stop paying attention entirely.
There's a lot of times on the internet, you can solve a lot of your strife and a lot of your emotional upheaval when you realize participation is not mandatory. You don't have to. It's not necessary. You can just go, I'm just not going to partake in this thing.
This is not a thing that I need to care about. I'm just going to move along with my day.
I have to look at it because I'm on a podcast and I have to be abreast and relevant. I do it under protest, for God's sake.
Tell me, what abreast are you paying attention to, Bernie?
What's that? I saw a really cute video that I showed you on Reddit yesterday, which was a girl was recording her boyfriend on the computer, I guess playing like Baldur's Gate was what people were saying, or something. It was some fantasy game, and he was in the character.
It was an RPG. He was making the character.
Yeah, he's in the character creation sequence, and he's making a character, and he's making this cute girl with a pixie haircut. And then she's like filming and zooming in on it, and you're like, oh, is she catching him? It doesn't seem that bad, It's like, pretty character, but I guess because he's making a female character. And then she flips to the front-facing camera, and it looks just like her. Like he's making his girlfriend as his character in the game.
It's
really endearing.
Really cute.
Yeah.
It's adorable. And it's like, I like that kind of stuff. I like when there's happy couples and people like each other.
Me too.
Like when you're
unabashedly.
when you're in a relationship because you like each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that's one thing that I don't understand is all the couples that are together but seem like they hate each other. Why would you do that to yourself?
Want problems always. I need to get that in my soundboard. No, I get it. But there are some people who they like the drama. They like the contention.
And, I would be lying if I said that I haven't been in relationships like that. And if I haven't been part of that, because I absolutely have. That was called my early 20s.
Right. And it's like, it goes back to the whole like bad boy thing.
And mid-20s.
That's an overlap there.
And maybe some late 20s.
Two phenomena, right? Early 30s. Give it some time, maybe late 40s.
My 40s.
The night is young.
No, I have one other thing that I'm really mad about today.
You seem so mad, Ashley.
I'm mad about everything all the time. I want problems always. I don't think you watched this show on Netflix. I did. It was called The Night Agent. And this was sort of an espionage thriller series. What?
How do you have time for all this stuff?
Treadmill. And it was a series about basically a guy who he mans a desk in the basement of the CIA. And his only job is to answer this phone if it rings. And it never rings. It's basically like an emergency red phone. And it never rings.
I dig it.
Until it does.
Oh, yeah, I dig this.
Right,
yeah.
and then he ends up caught in a web of conspiracy and lies, as everyone in the CIA seems to do. Anyway, the second season of this show dropped today, and so but I couldn't remember because there's another show that Netflix also does that's also a CIA conspiracy thriller series called The Recruit, and they have another season coming out at the end of the month. So I looked it up. I did a search to see if this was the series that was back today or if it was the other one. The very first search response, or search result, was a spoiler.
Oh, that's the worst.
The headline of the first search result gave me a spoiler. It's been out for 2 hours.
I don't want to say it, but there was a headline about that. It's always relating to casting. That happened with Severance season 2 as well.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And I was like, why would you do this? Why would you do this? And it's like they pose it as a question, and it's like, oh, give me a fucking break.
The question mark is not making it better.
Doesn't make it better in any way whatsoever. Yeah. Sorry that happened to you, Ashley, for something you really enjoy. But what can you do? You can't not look at the goddamn news, right?
Yeah, and I can justify it to myself in some ways, Of course, there's going to be twists and turns and unexpected things in a conspiracy thriller. That's the whole point of them, right? If I'm lucky, Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx are going to drive by at any point. And it turns out it's all one cinematic universe. It's the Netflix CIA you. The Night Agent and The Recruit are going to go out for lunch and they're going to talk about how weird shit keeps getting.
Well, Ashley, I did. You told me you were going to talk about this, so I did call the author of that story, and I got a statement from them.
I don't want peace. I want problems, always.
But while you're talking about that, there was a spoiler-ish thing that happened, but it's a business spoiler. and that is the release date of Stranger Things Season 5 has been leaked.
Possibly.
I have an issue with it. I have an
Okay.
issue with this.
Okay, go ahead.
If for some reason you don't want to know when it's going to release, if that would ruin something from you, it's what, November of this year is coming out?
Yes, theoretically. And again, this is I'd call this soft spoiler because it's maybe, but this hasn't been officially confirmed by Netflix yet.
That also happened with the Game of Squids Season 3, which is Season 2.5, really.
It is, absolutely.
It's they did the same thing, but who knows? They can always change it. But the current date that has been leaked is November 27th, 2025. My issue with this is this was reported by a user on X at Upside Down Scoop. The way they found it was through the Netflix API. And here's my problem with it. If you're going to find it out through the API, don't publish that, because I don't want there to be issues where big companies stop having APIs, which are ways that you can hook in and like pull information out of big data systems. And it's a protected way to do that. When they start using that to get information that they know is sensitive or like pseudo confidential, even like this, don't publicize that, because it just makes people not want to do those things.
I'm also going to caveat that could absolutely be a front end placeholder on Netflix's part, because it is API, and until they actually like do the official scheduling, that could change at any time. You know, there a lot of that happens in like games a lot of times, where the release date will be like April 1st, and it's just because they're just putting it in a quarter, right? And that's not the date at all. I would be astonished if they don't break the Stranger Things final season up into at least 2 release groups.
Those kids are going to be like 55.
Well, no,
When they're all said and done.
it's all wrapped. It wrapped filming in December, so they're in post-production now. So the aging process is now halted.
for,
all right?
for the people on screen. I mean, they'll be going to the premiere with like walkers and stuff. Was I in this? I don't even remember. But
Malcolm, is that you?
you were talking to, you and I were having a conversation the other day, walk down memory lane about an old site for the Xbox back in the days. I don't think this will ever make a comeback, but back in the day when you were on a forum like Reddit, you used to have a signature at the bottom of your post with images and everything.
Yeah, so like at the bottom of every post you made would be the signature, and that would, you would just like have that in your profile, whatever, and it would just like automatically be in there. And we had something called MyGamerCard.net.
Right.
And you could put in your Xbox Live, and you could put in your PlayStation. I don't know that Nintendo was in there. You could put in like Steam, whatever, and it would have all your games, and it would have like all your like scores and stuff, and you would have your own little gamer card that would, and it could also track your playtime. Right? Was that My Gamer Card could track your playtime across all the different platforms and all your achievements and stuff? I loved that thing.
It was just like a little card that you could put at the end of your post. Imagine that on Reddit, where if there were so many images from people's signatures that you could really only realistically load about 20 or 25 posts
And then it's like
per page.
And then it's like load the next page of posts.
Can you imagine that next page on Reddit of posts after every 20?
Do you remember when you would like go to a forum and you would see a thread with like 50 pages and you go, what happened?
Right, what happened? Yeah, when people would use it like chat in a way.
Yeah, because it was
forum
just
posts.
when they weren't weighted or anything, and a lot of times they weren't even threaded. It was just post, then post, then post, then post, then post.
I feel like Discord is kind of like that now. People go into Discord and they catch up on the previous when it logs the chats. Like traditionally back in the day, you had to be in the chat in order to see the history of it. And now with a lot of Discord rooms or channels, you can go in and just scroll back and see stuff.
Yeah, like it'll show you like all the new messages since you last checked in.
But what I was getting at with MyGamerCard.net is there was always a rumor that MyGamerCard.net got so popular, and because all those images would go out and access the Xbox API, that they turned off all those hooks.
Oh, is
because
that what happened to it?
It was using so many resources that they turned off the Xbox API. And then there was even a rumor that some of the sites that were popular were grandfathered in and they could continue to use it. And so those became very valuable sites because they had access to an Xbox API that no one else then had access to. We should ask E about that. I bet he would know that.
Is that one of the earliest cases of, sure, take all my user data, this will be fun?
Right. Let's just put it out there and like make it publicly available to everyone. What could possibly go wrong with
like,
that?
If you could please track everything that I'm playing and all the time that I'm spending across all these different gaming platforms, and then just make me some fun graphs. I would really appreciate that. Thanks.
Right. Exactly. What could possibly go wrong? Well, Ashley, who do we have to thank for sharing their personal data with us today?
Well, I would like to say a big thank you to Mufaka and Joe the Human for sponsoring this episode of our podcast at patreon.com/morning somewhere.
They don't always want problems. They want peace sometimes.
Sometimes
we appreciate
peace.
that. All right. Well, that does it for us today. January 23rd, 2025. We will be back to talk to you tomorrow. We hope you will be here as well.
Bye, everybody.